We live in a democracy, a place where we, the people, have the supreme power to govern ourselves. And by govern ourselves, I mean that every once in a while we fill in a little bubble next to the name of someone who will make decisions for us. If we're active, we complain. If we're really active, we'll complain in groups with signs. I don't mean to belittle the things we've accomplished this way. They've been great. But right now, as an ordinary citizen, registered voter, and someone who's done my share of complaining, I don't feel that empowered, and I don't think I'm alone. I can't really bash the representative part of our representative democracy. There's 300 million people in this country. We can't all fit into one space where we can all talk and hear each other at the same time, let alone make a collective decision. But people have started looking at the internet and thinking, wait a minute, online, we can work together and talk with each other without being in the same place at the same time. Maybe we can be a bigger part of democracy. So people have actually started making things, and you'll find online lists of apps and websites designed to let people collaboratively govern themselves. And if you follow some of these links, you'll find some things that are absolutely amazing, but they just sit there. And for the most part, that's all they ever do. I wanted to know why. So I did what any good grad student would do, a research project. And I found 5 things that I want to share with you. These are 5 challenges that I think separate those things sitting and collecting dust from the ones that are actually starting to change democracy out there as we know it. Let's look at the first. When I look at some of these projects, I keep running into the same problem. I don't know where they came from. I don't know who made them. It could have been made by an aide to a politician, a 13-year-old, or a cat. I, as a citizen, have no reason to trust these tools. So that's the first thing you need, legitimacy. I, as a citizen, need a reason to trust what you've made. So let's look at something legit. About 3 years ago, as background, there was a massive online fight about 2 proposed laws named SOPA and PIPA. These were laws that were designed to fight online piracy, but they were written in such a way that some people, some critics, thought that they would lead to massive censorship of the internet itself. In the middle of this fight, something interesting happened. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon and Representative Darrell Issa of California crowdsourced an alternative. They called it the Open Act. They uploaded a draft bill onto a website and then solicited public comment and suggested revisions from the public. The idea being that once a consensus was reached, they would actually introduce it to the United States Congress. And that actually happened. Legitimate? Absolutely. But they ran into the second challenge. And that's the fact that almost nobody heard about this or participated. So that's the second thing you need, fame. If you haven't heard of something, you're not going to use it. So let's look at something legit and famous. This is a website called We the People. It was opened up under the Obama administration. It's a petition site. The basic idea is that if you ask a question, any question, and get 5,000 people to sign it within a month, the White House will issue an official response. The question can be about gun control, gay marriage, or the US constructing a Death Star by 2016. They issue a response. Now, legitimate, the site? Absolutely. Famous? Yes, and that actually led to the third challenge. They got 8,000 petitions signed 600,000 times from 325,000 unique users in the first week of this site going online. Way more than they could ever handle. The third thing you need is capacity to handle a lot of input. When you're famous, you're going to have a lot of users and a lot of people coming your way. Nowadays, if you want a petition answered on We the People, you don't need 5,000 signatures in a month, you need 100,000, and they're getting that many. Now, We the People is awesome. I love this site. But for me and my purposes, it now runs into the fourth challenge. I call it, I participated in the democratic revolution, and all I got was this lousy press release. Statements from the White House are nice, but they don't actually do anything. The fourth thing you need to change democracy is built-in impact. So I'm going to take you across the Atlantic to talk about something that actually has this and all the other things we've talked about so far. In Iceland, right after the financial crisis, the people of Iceland demanded a new constitution. The government put together a constitutional assembly, and that assembly decided that everyone in Iceland should have a say in what goes into this document. So what they did is that they first talked about topics and then put together draft language and then released it on a Facebook page, as well as their own dedicated website and other social media. They took feedback from the Icelandic public, worked it into the draft, and re-released it the next week. They did this over and over again for about 4 months, and by the end they had a draft constitution written by the people of Iceland. Legit, famous, had capacity to handle the input from an entire country, and it had built-in impact. It still failed. It's not the Constitution of Iceland today. They were missing the fifth challenge, and that is political strategy to deal with bureaucracy and special interests. After this draft was completed, the people of Iceland kind of lost interest, and Parliament convened a special 2 a.m. session to strike down the Constitution in a manner that turned out to break the chamber's own rules. When you face people in power who can make such obscure and morally questionable actions and decisions, you need more than the will of the public. You need a solid political strategy. So, after these near misses, I want to talk to you about a success. And that success is the Brazilian Internet Bill of Rights. Spearheaded by, among others, a public servant named Guilherme de Almeida, who, by the way, is a student here at this school, the Ministry of Justice of Brazil decided that they wanted a bill to protect the online rights of its citizens, and they wanted to make it using the internet. So they put together a website and put out a call for what Brazilians felt passionately about in terms of their online interactions. They got input from the top University of Sao Paulo all the way to tribal leaders in the Amazon rainforest to contribute to what was important to them. They used that input to make a draft bill and opened that up for public comment and suggested revisions. Now, I know what some of you have been thinking if you spend any time discussing politics online, especially in the comment sections of articles and in blogs. People kind of get angry really fast. So I want to talk about this because something interesting happens. There were disagreements on the Brazilian Bill of Rights site. I want to show you what they look like. What I'm about to show you is not from a public servant or any official. This is just an ordinary citizen disagreeing with one of his colleagues. Dear Denise, thank you for your thoughtful response and for valuing citizenship rights on which you express yourself very properly. I will try to answer you and Marcel at the same time. I thank you both for the privilege of being able to do so. And they were all like this, all of them. Imagine if politics here were like that. I mean, it's sort of a joke, but it's sort of not. This is a place where instead of people picking point A and saying, I'm for point A, and whoever's for point B can go, I won't finish that sentence. They're saying, this is my interest. I see this as what your interest is. Let's work together to make something. So after a few months of this draft bill was submitted to Brazilian Congress. And this time, the public stayed engaged. They put pressure on their political representatives to make this pass. It passed first in one house of the legislature, then the other, and then 3 weeks ago today, I believe, was signed by the Brazilian president. It is now law of the land. And the thing is, this didn't just change that law. The entire Brazilian legislature now has an open website dedicated to public comment and opinion on their work, and a hackers bureau to go out and engage people online. And the best part is they're not alone. Finland now has an entire ministry devoted to crowdsourcing legislation. The state of California is crowdsourcing its new probate code. And if you remember Senator Wyden and Representative Issa, they're still working on that platform they had. It's called Madison these days. And there's signs that next time they put it into play, it's going to get a little bit more attention. And now they know the 5 things that they all need: legitimacy, fame, capacity, input, and political strategy. Now, I'm not a salesman, I'm not a prophet, I'm just a grad student with a research project. But I feel pretty confident when I say that soon, this could be the new face of democracy. Thank you.